Hello, everyone. My name is Jenny Lombard. I am a college and career counselor at Webster Groves High School and the early college program liaison. So I am the person that works directly with St. Louis Community College and our students to really bridge the gap between the two places that the students are part of. So I'll be helping, with students on a pretty regular basis, meeting with them, communicating with them, helping them stay on track to graduation, and also monitoring their progress at STLCC. With us, we have Josh Orndorff. He is our liaison at STLCC, and he's going to go ahead and get started and talk to you all about the program in general, what's about, and why we're excited to have you apply.
All right, thank you, Jenny. Thank you for having me.
Sure.
Let me go ahead and share my screen real quick. I'll pull up my presentation. And you go ahead and present this. All right, can you see that? Okay. All right. So this is the an information session for our early college program, a program that we partner with every public high school in St. Louis County and in our district to serve high school students. And I'll explain a little bit more, but it's an opportunity for students to earn an associate's degree through St. Louis Community College while finishing their requirements at the high school. My name is Josh Orndorff. Here are my contact information's here on the screen. I'll just pause for a second, just kind of explain my role. So I'm the coordinator for dual credit and enrollment partnerships on the Merrimack campus. And so I serve schools kind of from the middle of the county down south all the way down to Oakville. So I work with Ladue, Webster, Kirkwood, over to Maplewood, down through Afton, and then farther south. We have coordinators at each of our four main campuses who serve the schools with within our district. But Webster Groves falls within my service area, and so any questions you have about dual credit or dual enrollment through St. Louis Community College, those go through me. So as I mentioned, I'm here to talk about the early college program, which is an opportunity for students to earn an associate's degree simultaneously while finishing their high school graduation requirements. Essentially, students apply to the program, and if accepted and participate, they would spend the last 2 years, their junior and senior years, essentially of high school, taking courses full-time at the community college in order to earn an associate's degree. I want to clarify, this doesn't mean that they are no longer students, high school students at Webster Groves. They still have, access to extracurriculars and things like that, access to, staff counselors at the high school. We even have students that participate in, specialized courses like band and things like that they're not going to have at the community college. But our students take classes full-time for 4 semesters and then hopefully earn an associate's degree, at the end of their senior year of high school. And the way that works is these courses, they're called what we would consider dual enrollment courses. And so that's when you take a college class on the college campus and you earn college credit. And then that college credit is then transferred back to the high school. And so, maybe a student that's taking English 101 at the college level and earns credit in that class, maybe that would be like their 11th grade English course, and they would be given credit for that at the high school. So that's how that works out, so they can meet the requirements of both at the same time. On the screen here, I have put the program of study for our General Transfer Studies Associate of Arts degree. Probably 95 to 98% of the students who are in our program that earn the degree end up graduating with this degree. The reason being is because it is designed for students to complete general education courses, so a mix of various academic studies in order for them to transfer to a 4-year degree. So they're essentially doing the first 2 years of a 4-year degree. And so if you look at this program of study, it's split into kind of two main areas. The first part you'll hear referred to as the Core 42, and that is a breakdown of 42 of the 60 total credits that we would consider general education, and they're split into different academic categories there and require a certain number of credits in each one of those. Those 42 credits are agreed upon by Missouri state law to transfer seamlessly to public colleges and universities in the state of Missouri. So, if you're taking your English 101 course here at St. Louis Community College and you earn that credit and you're wanting to transfer to UMSL, they're going to accept that credit. And then you have an additional 18 credits within this degree where that is where a student would essentially start taking the electives that are going to be required for their eventual 4-year degree. So an example I use is if you're wanting to study psychology at Mizzou, this is where you would start taking some of those beginning level psychology courses that would transfer to the courses that you need to satisfy Mizzou's requirements. We get a lot of questions about other degrees that we offer that students can earn. We have a variety of transfer degrees that students could pursue. This year, I know I personally have one student that's earning, a teaching degree, a transfer teaching degree. And I've got another student that's earning what we call a general STEM degree. And those have different requirements. And so a student can earn whatever they are able to. They really need to consult with the high school and the counselors at the high school to make sure that the requirements for the college degree are the same as what you need for the high school diploma, because the number one priority is the student graduates from high school. And so that correlation is also, that's one of the main reasons why students end up earning this degree, is because they, the requirements of this degree align with what you need for high school. But that doesn't mean that we don't have students from time to time earn other degrees. And we're certainly open to that. And if you've got questions about other degrees, we can field those. I want to emphasize to students and parents that when you're taking these college level courses, these are going to go on your permanent college transcript. And so you've got to understand that you're taking real college classes for real college credit. There's a large difference between taking high school classes, even dual credit classes at the high school, and then taking college classes at the college. The expectations are vastly different. And so I've put a couple of differences here on the screen, but the big one is just to summarize, is the responsibility of the student. In high school, your day within the class is very much driven by a teacher and their lessons plan every day. Where at the college level, you may only go to a class 3 days a week or maybe 2 days a week. And, maybe you're only in that class for a total of, 2 to 3 hours a week. But you're expected to do a lot of reading and a lot of studying and a lot of project work or writing or research outside of the classroom. And the professor is not necessarily going to, sit there and make sure that you get it done. And so, you've really got to think as a student, do I work that way? Am I mature enough to work that way, where I am motivated and have the ability to not only organize my time, but use that time wisely to do the quality of work that is expected at the college. I've seen in my time as a high school counselor and at the college level, very good high school students not do so well at the college level. And it's really because the difference in how those courses operate. And so that is something that parents and students need to consider before taking part into the program. One of the main differences I've mentioned is the schedule. And so the next couple of slides, I'll talk a little bit about the difference in schedule and how it kind of operates at the college. So the first thing is, if you're in this program and you're taking classes full time at St. Louis Community College, even though you're still considered a Webster Groves student, you are on St. Louis Community College's academic schedule, on our academic calendar. And so just as an example, during this past spring semester, we didn't start our spring semester until think January 18th, which is a couple of weeks after most high schools had started. And then at the end of the spring, we end the second week of May, which is a couple weeks shorter. It's a couple weeks before most high schools end. And so students are not expected to go back to high school and take classes during, those 2 weeks. So they get that time off. They also would use St. Louis Community College's spring break. And so those are, that's one thing to consider when taking part in this program. And so if you look at, earning the degree and the total number of credits and thinking about, how many classes am I supposed to take each semester? Most of the degrees that we offer are 60 credits, okay, including the general transfer studies at 60 credits. So if you're taking these classes over 4 semesters, so fall, spring of your junior and senior year of high school, it averaged out to about 15 credits a semester. Most of our courses are between 3 and 5 credits, where a normal class like a psychology, 100 level psychology class, or on the screen here, communications 101, those are what we call 3 credit hour classes. And they spend about 3 hours in class every week on that one class. And then we have classes that are up to 5 credit hours. So that might be like a chemistry class that requires a lecture and then a lab time. So you'd average about 5 hours a week in class. And so if you're thinking of average of a 15 credit hour semester, students would take about 4 to 5 classes per semester. And you also have to remember that these 3 credit hour classes, they're offered really in one of 2 main ways. They're either Monday, Wednesday, Friday, so 3 days a week for 50 minutes each day, or they might be 2 days a week, Tuesday, Thursday class for 75 minutes. So it's completely conceivable that a student puts together a schedule where they are only in class 3 days a week, or at least in a limited amount of hours over 4 or 5 days. So I have an example of that here in a second. So. We also offer a variety, not only a bunch of different sections of courses, but we also offer a variety of modalities. So for students that participate in the program, we really encourage them to do in-person, but we also offer online courses if that's something that a student needs for their schedule. So for example, students that participate in the program, they're still allowed, to do extracurriculars at the high school. So we work with schools to kind of, fit into that schedule so that they can go back to the high school and participate in the sports and go to practice and things like that. So we do have a ton of flexibility in the types of courses and the number of courses that are offered. I said I had an example here. So this is, I actually built this a couple weeks ago, just off the classes that were available. This is a very normal schedule that you would see a first or second semester student taking at the college, 16 credits. And you can see that their daily schedule, they do go to class. The student would go to class every single day, Monday through Friday. But they're only in class for, a couple hours of each day. So, Mondays and Fridays, they're in class for less than, 2 hours. And so, the big thing you've got to remember, going back to the responsibility of the student and the amount of hours that they spend in classes, we're at, the high school level, you're spending maybe 40 hours a week, 35 to 40 hours a week in class at the school. The college level, if you're taking in 16 credit hours, probably in about 16 hours within the classroom, but that doesn't mean that the academic part of your life is only going to take 16 hours. We say at the college level, for every hour that you spend in class, you need to spend about 2 hours studying, taking notes, or doing research, or whatever you need to do for that class. And so, quickly realize that it's instead of maybe 35 hours at the high school, you should be doing about 45 plus hours at the college level. So again, that goes back to the student responsibility and making sure you do what you need to outside of class, that you earn the grade that you need to. So within the program, you are treated like any other college student. In fact, no one would even know that you are a high school student unless you tell them. Your professors don't know, other classmates don't know. And in that regard, you get access to all of the campus resources that our traditional students get. The one caveat to that would be our mental health counseling services. So you've got to be 18 to utilize those. So students cannot use them. The other one that's not really a service, but students can't participate in our athletics unless they're traditional college students. But we have academic advising. So I encourage students to meet with academic advisor every semester to go over their plan, talk about transferring, make sure they take the right classes. They'll help students if they've got holds on their accounts, things like that. That should really be one of the top priorities that students use on our campus. One of the great resources are the academic advisors. The next one is the academic support center. So we offer tutoring in basically every class that you can think of, especially those freshmen and the first year kind of classes. Tons of different study groups available. We have them posted on the library's website for students to see and participate. So students struggling in a class, we've got resources to assist. We have the Access Office. So the Access Office works with students with disabilities to provide any needed accommodations. So student has an IEP or a 504, certainly set an appointment to meet with them and they can assist you in any way that they're able to. Campus bookstores. So, at the college level, you're ordering books every semester for the classes, but, we work with students to and connect them with the bookstore to get that stuff done. Campus life. So that's where students can, participate in clubs. Our early college students, I think just by the nature of their personality, tend to be go-getters. So we have a lot of participation in clubs on campus, a lot of leadership positions taken up by our early college students. If you're concerned about safety as a student or a parent, which is understandable, we have an on-site campus police force, and they do everything that you can think of. Luckily, not that I've heard of since I've been there, there's been anything too bad. But they do, even if a student gets locked out of their car, they can help students get in. I've locked myself out of my office. They help me get back into my office, but they're just, they're there to assist you, and they're right there on campus. It's not like you got to wait for them to get there. They're right there located on campus. We have an entire department dedicated to career development. So students aren't quite sure what they want to do, can meet with one of our career specialists and kind of get a plan there, get a lot of resources available to them. Any IT needs, we've got a whole department that covers that. Computer labs and printers for students that need it. A fully stocked library, so all the research materials that you could want, you'll have access to. Also, any personal books, if there's any books that you enjoy, you can check out books just for personal use there as well. The student assistance program, so that's we have like a food pantry, and then they offer hygiene products, anything if a student's struggling at home or a family struggling, connect with the student assistance program. And then the testing center isn't used quite as much by students who are already actively taking classes. We offer, so for example, if a student's doing the transfer teaching degree, then you've got to take the MOGIA, so they offer that there. But for placement services, so if a student needs to take a placement test to get into a certain class, or nursing program as well, the nursing tests are done through the testing center. One of the biggest questions that we get, and it's usually very specific, talking about transferring credits from St. Louis Community College. I get the question a lot: does this specific class transfer to this specific university? So the first thing that I'll say is that every college picks and chooses what courses they accept. It's the college that the credits are being transferred to. And so I can't say, yes, these credits are going to transfer. Now that might sound a little fishy, but we send students to schools all over the country. I just can't say specifically, they are going to, because it's not my decision, it's up to the transfer school. But I know we've got students that that are actively at Princeton. So if you're worried about kind of higher level courses, I'll talk about Ivy League schools here in a second, but we certainly have students go to higher level schools, WashU. Definitely the schools that we send a lot of students to, UMSL, SLU, Mizzou, are really good on transferring. But I emphasize the responsibility of the student and making sure that they maximize the number of credits that are transferring. We want all of your credits to transfer. That is the goal. And we offer the resources to help make that happen. And so I mentioned Core 42 credits earlier. So if you're transferring to a public institution in the state of Missouri, those Core 42 credits are going to transfer for sure. They have to accept them. We also work to build transfer agreements with not only the public schools, but private schools and just the schools that we send a lot of students to. And these agreements outline, it'll say like at SLU, if you want to, pursue communications, then you need to do these classes the first 2 years at St. Louis Community College, and then you would need to do these 2 classes the second 2 years at SLU. And so they do a pretty good job of breaking down what specific classes you need to. So, the resources that we offer are, I've mentioned the advising office. That's really their job is, if you tell the advisor that this is your goal, you want to do biology at Mizzou, they're going to pull up that transfer guide, see what's required, and tell you, all right, we're going to build out a 2-year, academic plan that has you taking, these specific classes, the classes that you need in order to, accomplish that goal. We have those transfer guides, like I said, and then, if you as the student know you want to go to a certain school in a certain program, those schools have transfer advisors. They're advisors that work with incoming students that have a bunch of credits and assist them in getting placed into the right program. We always encourage students to reach out to those transfer schools. And so just to summarize this page, we send credits. We're an accredited school. We send credits and send students all over the country. I cannot give you a 100% that this specific class is going to transfer to this specific school, but we provide the resources to help students maximize their credits. I did say I was going to touch on Ivy League schools. So if your end goal is to go to Ivy League schools, you have to know that some of those Ivy League schools, the top tier, like Harvard, they don't accept transfer credits from anywhere. I can tell you that for sure. And so they want their whole academic, plan to be taken at that school. And so if that's your top tier, reach out to the school and get an understanding of, what that looks like. And if, this program isn't for you, that's certainly fine. I also, think even if they're not going to accept, the credits, having the challenge of earning credits at the college level while you're in high school, I think still looks really good on an application. And they also know, well, this student's completed 2 years of, and that goes really for any university. You become kind of a coveted student because the colleges are always concerned about retaining students, and so you've actively shown that you've done 2 years of college successfully, and then that college says, okay, well, I know the student has already surpassed the majority of students that enter college. We know that they're a good student. We want that student on our campus, and so you become a more coveted student. So again, if you got questions about transfer, we've got the resources available. And then, of course, if you know, that's the big if you know exactly where you want to transfer to end your 4-year degree, reach out to them as well. I feel like this is blocked. I'm not sure if it is or not. But I put this tuition cost comparison together. And so what this shows is 2 years of tuition at all of these colleges. So this is based off of tuition rates for this year. And this is just the sticker price of what it would cost you to attend these institutions for 2 years. So, I'll provide the caveats for the private institutions. I have to do my due diligence in that. But, if you're participating in the early college program, the tuition is paid for. And so essentially for tuition, you're paying $0. If you were a traditional college student, so starting after you've graduated high school and you're not using A+, to come to St. Louis Community College for 2 years at current rates, which is very cheap for us, it's almost $7,000 that you're saving, which is that's quite a bit of money. If you go down this list, you'll see varying amounts. Mizzou, you're saving $26,000. I said I'd get to the caveat of the private institutions. They always have a bit of a sticker shock, but private institutions have the ability to give higher numbers of scholarships, and so those tend to come down pretty quickly. And so, to be fair to them, it's probably a little bit closer to what you'd see with the public institutions. But still, I mean, you're participating in the program. You're saving quite a money. So, Another question would be, okay, well, if I just finish high school regularly, I just, I go to high school junior, senior year, and then I go to St. Louis Community College and use my A+ on a traditional, time frame. If I can do that, why is this so helpful? And so I always have students and parents consider the advantage of finishing 2 years early. So first off, by the time if you go this route and you finish everything accordingly, by the time that you're 20, you would have already finished a bachelor's degree while, your peers are only halfway done. And that gives you kind of two options at that point. The first one would be to go ahead and enter the workforce, where you can start working 2 years earlier and start saving money 2 years earlier, which is extremely important at the beginning of, your post-college career. Is that, if you're saving that money, hopefully if you're doing the right stuff, it'll, accumulate over time, which is a great opportunity to get that done early. The other opportunity would be if you want to go to graduate school. So you have the opportunity to maybe earn a master's degree by the time, your peers are finishing their bachelor's degree, which is another great opportunity. And so I don't say that in an attempt to market this to every student. I understand that it's not right for all students. And there are certainly students who say, I want my final 2 years of high school, and I want that experience. And then I want my traditional 2 years of college, and I want that experience. And that's certainly fine. That's what I did. And, I don't think I'd take that back. But what we do offer, I think, is a wonderful program, and it's wonderful for a lot of students. And if it's right for you, we certainly want to see your application. We certainly want to see your interest in the program and answer your questions. And hopefully, you would be successful. My final slide is, what are the next steps? So in order to participate in this program, you first have to be accepted by Webster. So you, and I'll have Janity hop on here in a minute, but, and she'll talk about Webster's application. So you complete an application for Webster Groves, and then they would essentially approve you to take part in the program. So as part of that application, you actually do have to apply to St. Louis Community College. And just to answer, if there's anyone that says, well, that's kind of weird, why do we have to apply to the college? The reason you have to apply to the college as part of that application is because you need to take the AccuPlacer, which is our placement test. It essentially says you are college ready in writing and reading and math. And in order to take the AccuPlacer, you have to have a student number. And so the only way to get that is to apply. The application is free. Applying to the school, I know from my advising experience, applying to the school does not mean you have to enroll in classes. That happens all the time. So there's no obligation there. It's essentially just to get your ID so that you can take the AccuPlacer. If you are accepted into the program, then we'll do a welcome session later this spring where we'll welcome you to campus, kind of take care of it, some administrative stuff, have you tour campus. And we just, in terms of registering for classes, you would do that later this spring, but we would get your high school transcript, an authorization form. It basically just has the school and the caretaker approve that the student is okay to take college classes, set you up to meet with an advisor. And then, once you got that advisor meeting booked, you would just book classes with them. And then you're kind of free for the summer until we do orientation in August, and good to go. And I know that's a very quick summary of a lot of things that you need to do for this program, but I just like to give an overview. Essentially, if you get into the program, get all this information again. But I certainly thank you guys for having me. I'm gonna hang out and answer some questions. I'm gonna let Janity take over, and then I think she's going to talk about Webster's application and time and all of that stuff. But I know we had some people hop on here a little bit late. So if you have any questions, be glad to answer them at any time. So thank you.
Thank you, Josh. I am now going to find my screen here. And tell you a little bit about what we do. And some of this was covered by Josh, but since a couple of you joined late, I'll go over some of that. But Basically, I serve as the liaison. So I work with Josh and St. Louis Community College, and really with the students. So I'm the person that helps navigate everything at the community college, and also monitoring progress to graduation. And then as we talk about transferring and going to college, my role as a college counselor comes into play as well. Over our program is also Miss Craig, actually, is her name. Her maiden name was Miss Ramondo. She's in Office 210. She's one of our assistant principals. So she definitely also is over the program and kind of helps out as needed. So for admission and selection to the program, the students who've done the best in the program over the last couple of years typically have above a 3.5 GPA or higher, but we do and have accepted students with under a 3.5 as long as they are able to submit 2 recommendations from teachers at Webster Groves High School. So all of that information, the application and the recommendation forms, were sent out via email to all sophomores. And if you need a copy of that, I'm happy to send it to you. Other things that we consider are your attendance record and your disciplinary record from Webster. Obviously, as we're sending you off to college essentially and on your own for the most part, it's important that we, expect that you will conduct yourself in a professional manner as an adult, as a college student. So it's important that you have, displayed that in your time in high school as well. We also, there's always a strong correlation between academic performance and attendance. So attendance is important to us. Attendance in class in college is essential. The students who are doing, well, and most of our students are doing well in the program, very rarely do they miss a class, maybe one a semester. And they've got to make it up and contact the professor. And so attendance is very, very important. So we're careful to look at those percentages as well. We do have 2 short essays we want you to write that are included in the application, and they're really just for us to get to know you. So we're not grading on technical writing or anything like that, but we really just want to know your intent on joining the program, your interest in it, and just a little bit more about you. We also just have an agreement we want parents to sign about the responsibilities of the high school, St. Louis Community College, and then also what falls on the family. Accepted students, so with that initial application, we will invite students to be accepted to the program, but they will not be able to enroll in the program until they complete an AccuPlacer or a placement exam in either reading or math, and definitely math. We'll have everyone do the AccuPlacer exam for math because we do need you to test into an introductory math course. So part of those general transfer studies, that introductory first year of college, a math course is required. And so we need to make sure that you're able to do math at a college level. So we can discuss the details of that later, but we will have that opportunity right at Webster Groves High School. So we choose 5 students to do the program each year. The district covers all of the tuition, the book up to $500 for books each semester, and we try to support you in the best way that we can all the way through the program. So, if you kind of go to school and handle your business, we will take care of that tuition. And it's really it's a fantastic advantage and jumpstart into college, especially if you're going the long haul to perhaps, graduate school or professional school. It's a really great way to jumpstart the program. All right, a couple of other things. So I mentioned the application. It's a Google form we'll have you fill out and just have, the student and parent initial, which also allows us to release your information to St. Louis Community College. If you have below a 3.0, we want you to fill out have 2 teachers fill out a recommendation form, which is also on Google. So you would just ask them and then, send them the link, and then they would be able to really just rate your performance in class. We're looking for, your potential, your, enthusiasm, if you are able to advocate for yourself. Those are all some of those soft skills that are really important for students to be successful in college. If we, get down to it, we may ask you to come in for an interview. So that interview would be very casual. It would be probably in my office. We'd probably have Ms. Craig join us and perhaps another counselor, and really just to get to know you a little bit better. If we have questions about your application, we just need some clarification on that. So nothing formal you need to prepare for or dress up for, but just to kind of meet you if we haven't already and just talk through details about the program. The expectations, if you are enrolled in the program, students have to receive a C or better to pass a college course. So in high school, if you get a D, it's passing, you get your credit and you can move along. But when you shift over to college, any college, you have to have a C in that class to be considered a passing grade. We really expect, and most students do finish their classes with either an A or a B, their college courses. And that college GPA should be protected. So we want you to finish as many credits as you can with the best grades that you can. So it is possible, and probably about half of our students so far, we've done the program for 3 years, have earned an associate's degree at the end. But if you get off to a rough start or something is off, then we will work with you to make sure that you're passing as many classes as you can with a good grade, as opposed to sort of just kind of skating through with a low GPA. Along with the C or better to pass the class, we also want you to be completing high school graduation requirements. So typically for juniors, for instance, that would include 2 semesters of US history at the community college, as well as your 3rd year of math and science. And of course, you need that 4 years of English. So that'd be something that you would continue on through at STLCC. Students do attend their classes full-time at Merrimack. We have students who take kind of one course at Webster if they're able to find classes at the community college to work around the schedule that's set at the high school. We don't have the schedule set at the high school yet, so sometimes that's a decision we can't make until late into May, and may you got to shift some things around possibly in August also. So if you're in band, or I have a student taking forensics, I have a student taking German at the high school, we can sometimes arrange for that to happen for a semester or for a year. We do ask, and we don't have access to your grades. So just like I can access your grades as a high school student in SIS, and day by day, I can see what you've turned in, and if you were in school that day, I don't get that information on a regular basis. I get it a couple of times throughout the semester that's sent over to me from Josh. And so I ask that you provide me with a grade report. And typically it's just a screenshot of your grades from your information system. But that just keeps us both accountable on how you're progressing through class, if you're falling behind, if we need to, connect you with someone in the learning center so that you're able to get some tutoring. So that's something we put in place and really kind of catches things before they could get bad. And so that's a requirement that Webster has as well. We do offer and require students to attend a meeting with other ECP students, and then also myself. So we typically do those every other week, especially towards the beginning, and then they sort of get spaced out more in between as you get the hang of things. If you're in the building, a lot of them will just stop by my office and we talk about how things are going. But the attendance at those meetings is important because we do give you a credit for academic lab at WGHS for elective credit. So that helps you get closer to that elective credit requirement that you have to complete for graduation. And it also gives you credit for the time that you spend in the meetings with me and with your cohort of students. Another thing that is required is that you are responsible for your own transportation to the Merrimack campus. So that is, if you drive, then you'll get a parking pass so that you're able to park there and kind of go from home to campus as you please. We do have a couple of students who also who maybe don't drive or don't have a car. They actually take the Metro bus to campus. So There is a stop just right on Lockwood outside of central office that goes straight down to Merrimack, and it takes under 15 minutes to get there. So it's a pretty quick ride, and students have found that to be pretty useful getting between Webster and the Merrimack campus. So that's also something that's covered through the program. So the bus pass would be covered if you needed that to get to and from the campus. And of course, as a college student, you get all of the privileges of being a college student, but they also have the expectation that you'll conduct yourself as a behavior. You have to mind by the student code of conduct. And, the great student that you are, usually not a problem. We don't have any conduct issues with our ECP students. Okay, so our financial expectations, we do cover the tuition costs for up to 17 credit hours a semester. I would say most students take about 13 to 15. Sometimes we can even cover a summer course if it's necessary. If you get a D or F in a course, and that typically doesn't happen because we are monitoring this all the way through the semester, it could be that we ask you to repay the tuition for that course. So that is in writing. It has not happened, but it definitely is there to protect, the financial commitment that the district is putting into each of our students. So the biggest thing and the most common question I get is that, am I still a Webster Groves student? Am I still a junior at Webster Groves High School? You are. Your classes are just at St. Louis Community College. So most of your day will be spent there. But you still are able, if you want to take a class, if you are in a sport, if you want to go to prom, all of those things are still, you're eligible to attend. So you're still on our rosters as a junior. In your schedule, it'll say early college partnership for your classes. So you still will get all communication as a junior at Webster Groves High School. So you're still one of our students. And so we will, there's things that you need to do, like take the ACT when you're a junior, we'll pull you in from that. We'll have you, communicate with your professors so that you can be excused from that. Graduation, you'll still walk with your class. All of that is still the same. So you're definitely still a Webster student. And we hope you feel that way too when you're on 2 campuses. So Josh talked a little bit about college admission, and really it depends on the type of school you're interested in, the program you're going into. So if you have a specific plan set out already, then it may be a good idea for us to talk through what that plan is and if this program is a good fit for that. By far, the students who've completed this program have gone on and finished school in just 2 years. There's one in our first cohort class, we had a student who was wanting to be a nurse. And so she set up all of her courses to get pre-nursing coursework done. She transferred to Mizzou, and, I think she had 1 semester to take, a nursing course she couldn't do, and then she was in her program. And so it's just really a great way to get that jump start and get two years out of the way. And it just gives you some breathing room. So maybe you do want to stay in college a little bit longer, or you want to study abroad for a year or take a gap year. You have so much flexibility because you have all of this credit that you've earned. And so it can be a really powerful thing and just provide you with a lot more options when you go to college. So application enrollment timeline, we'd like you to have the applications in and submitted through Google by April 1st. Our committee will review them, and then on or before April 11th, we'll notify you of your acceptance into the program. So again, we take 5 students each year. Students can only enter in as a junior, and then we will start right after the acceptance. We're doing the testing. So Josh has offered to come to our high school to do the AccuPlacer exam. We'll do that during advisory and academic networking on the 14th. And then we'll have an orientation to attend by the end of April. So by the end of April, the students who are selected will have a college schedule, college ID, and they'll be ready to go in August for orientation at STLCC. Okay, so I couldn't. I had a student last year who would answer questions, but she wasn't able to come tonight. But if there's anybody I can connect you with who's done the program, if you want to talk to anybody, a couple of them are in the building. We can definitely do that. If you have questions, I'm in the counseling center, so you can just ask for Miss Lombard and come on down. You can send me an email. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have about the program or the application process. So we're done in under an hour. Does anyone have any questions about anything that we've shared tonight or the program in general that Josh or I could answer?
Feel free to unmute yourself if you've got any questions.
Okay, so if anything comes into your head, it pops in, just come and find me tomorrow or Thursday. You can send me an email. We have a couple of the days after break also to talk if you need to. But thank you so much for coming and listening to us talk on a beautiful evening during a short week, but kind of going into spring break. So if anything, looks like we got a hand raised here. Anything comes up, let me know. Go ahead with your question. You have one.
Yeah, for the essays, where are we turning that in?
Oh, you can type them in right into the Google Doc. So
Okay.
you can type them and then just copy paste it into the form.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Like I said, any questions, come find me. Josh also left his contact information at the beginning of the slide, and I'm happy to connect you with him as well if we have any questions.
Absolutely.
Thank you.